Hey there everyone, it's Baka here. Welcome to another episode of View Review. This week we're going to be looking at the TV miniseries from 1998, From the Earth to the Moon. This was an in-depth look at the 1960s NASA space program and was put together in large part from actor Tom Hanks and director Ron Howard. Now there were a lot of other people involved in getting this off the ground, but those were kind of the two visionaries. This was shortly after Apollo 13. Tom Hanks is a huge space nut. So, with that little intro out of the way, we're going to get right down to the nitty-gritty and we're going to look at the different parts of this. First up is the story. That's right. Now, this takes place of the entire 1960s space run, starting with JFK saying that they are going to get to the moon within the decade. Now, this is before the Apollo program, this is before the Gemini program, this is really before the Mercury program. Mercury program is just starting. So this takes us from Mercury 1 through Apollo 17. And you get to see how the astronauts felt, how they acted, what hardships were along the way. You got to see how things affected their families, how reporters were involved in all of this. You got to see every little aspect of this. And granted, each episode is about 2 hours long, and there are 12 episodes to this thing, plus a different short movie at the end. But you get so much out of this. You get, if you like space, if you like space flight and that kind of idea, this is a great story because you get to see the ups and the downs, you get to see the technical data, you get to see the emotional data. It's all right there. And because of all of this, I'm giving the story a 10 out of 10. Next up are the visuals. Now, this is an easy one. This series was known specifically for its visuals. For 1998, its use of special effects, not just CG, but a lot of miniatures, mostly I think miniatures, and models, and all these different little things made the idea that these were the real astronauts, that they were really landing on the moon and taking flight. It made it look real. They took special care on the moon scene to reenact as close as possible what the actual astronauts felt and how they were able to move around on the moon. Now, if you look at old footage from that moon landing, you will notice some differences. There is still a sense of gravity. Even though it looks lessened, there still is that sense of gravity. But 1998, and they're able to get this much with little to no CG, this gets a 10 out of 10 as well. Next up is the script. Now, for the most part, the script is amazing. The way the storyline flows is pretty good until you get to some of the later episodes where you're kind of like, did they really need to put this in there? Yes, I really wanted to know what the whys were going through because you got little glimpses of that along the way. So that episode was really good. It was kind of in an awkward moment, and it really jumped around the whole series. But then there was an episode, and it was the episode about Apollo 13. And it centers on two reporters. The old grizzled veteran who has a great relationship with NASA, and the up-and-coming reporter who is kind of a jerk. And is kind of the early version of a TMZ or something like that. But, so there was some awkwardness in there, but what I kind of found hilariously awkward was at the beginning of almost every episode, Tom Hanks intros it. In every intro, he finds a way to end it with, "From the Earth to the Moon," as if you didn't know what you are watching. So, because of all of these things, while it's an amazing script, there still are some tiny little things. I'm giving the script an 8 out of 10. Now, last up is the acting. And this was key. If the acting was bad, nothing would be believable. And it was all believable. The acting was amazing. This is 1998. It's, 14 years ago? Almost 15 years ago. And the actors that are in this movie are people you recognize from a lot of stuff today who are a whole lot older. People who you kind of scratch your head going, were they really that young? Did Dave Foley really not look completely trashed out of his mind? Sorry, Dave. But they did a really good job. They were each their own character. You got to see the hard characters, the guys who were, not going to take crap from anybody. You got to see the goofballs. They showed their emotions from early spaceflight to when it all kind of became routine. How flying at the top of a rocket and then walking on the moon is routine to anyone, I don't know. But that's how those astronauts felt. So, all that said and done, acting's getting a 10 out of 10. So, what this does, this brings us to our total score. Now, this was an excellent movie. I would recommend watching this to anyone. Find it. Go to your library. Find it online. Go to Amazon. Whatever you have to do, find this movie and watch it. Or miniseries, I apologize. My total score is a 38 out of 40, which is an A. It's a nice, even 95%. So, find From the Earth to the Moon. Watch it. I think you'll enjoy it. And until next time, this is Baca, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.